Hi, good afternoon. I would like to talk with you today about ways in which our industry can come together to create harmony. And really by doing so, by working better together and by sharing information more efficiently than I see that we're doing today. And that word harmony you can go a lot of places with. And I thought it might be really interesting to look at kind of working through some examples where disharmony has occurred in industries. So cue my first slide, which is a metaphorical representation of disharmony, if you haven't caught that, a flat tire in a rainstorm. And let's apply where some disharmony has occurred to some neighboring industries of ours, some close industries. Back a few years ago, the auto manufacturing industry had very widespread shortages in parts and microchips that led to massive disruption in their car production. And that resulted in the loss of billions of dollars in sales for potential new customers. The way that they weathered that storm was to actually look within their value chains, their partners, their entire ecosystem, to come up with new ways to bridge the gaps and actually tear down the silos that they found to exist. And I think that's a really interesting theme for us to pull on here this afternoon. One of the ways they did that was by actually working across their entire ecosystem to connect everybody through system integrations so they can move data faster to make better decisions more accurately the first time. And that let them actually evolve from their just-in-time inventory practices that they were using to build cars. They're still working on these today. I think you can read any headline and you can see that that's happening. But it's an interesting lesson that I'd like to explore with you. Let's take a look at our industry today in collision repair. It's made up of many partners, just like the automotive industry is, the OEM industry is as well. There's insurance providers, there's OEMs, there's mobility companies, there's tow companies, there's glass companies, there's salvage companies, and of course, there's collision repair facilities. I think collision repair facilities are very unique in the fact that you have your own value chain outside of just the partners across the industry that you rely on to repair cars. There's going to be things like ADAS sublets, parts providers, paint providers, equipment providers, the list goes on. And to our industry, there's a lot of complexity and challenges that we're faced with today. We see volatile work and repair volumes that are coming into shops, really off of just claim frequency fluctuation that's out there right now. There's still labor supply challenges that are affecting shops. There are rising prices in parts. There's rising repair costs. The world's complex. It feels a little bit like that OEM analogy I just provided to you. The way through that is to look to each other, not just within our own operations, but to look around the industry and find better ways to connect to each other. Let's talk about the customer. The customer today is in the middle of our ecosystem, where they arguably should be. They should be in the middle, and they are. And the customer really doesn't care about the entire value chain that surrounds them. These are all back-end services. They may not know every company that works hard to provide the level of customer service that they expect. What they're looking for is a timely repair and one that's done in a safe and proper manner. And that's a really good lesson for all of us because it implies that not just one company is more important than the other in our industry. We're all equally valuable in the eyes of the customer when you look specifically at their experience. And I think that's a good reminder, okay? If you look at it, it means that mobility providers to body shops, to MSOs, to sole proprietors, insurance DRP programs, they all are the same in the eyes of the customer. So we need to work well together. But what's interesting about our customers, they're not just in the middle of our industry, they're actually an active participant in helping connect and move information around how we need to provide service for them. If you look at this slide, I think it does it pretty well. In the middle, there's a very active individual who is directing traffic in a very chaotic and busy intersection. Arguably, this is what customers do today in the way that we interact with each other. I'll provide some examples for you to illustrate that. Let's just look at the onset of a repair today. A customer has a claim, say they would like to involve an insurance carrier for payment and to take advantage of some of their benefits. They need to select a repair facility and go through that process. They need to schedule that appointment with the repair facility. They need to schedule transportation while their car is in for repair. If the car needs to be moved, Then they need to arrange to have the vehicle towed to the proper location. There's a lot of information being exchanged before the car is even repaired with a number of parties in our ecosystem. And what's interesting is it all runs through the customer, right? It doesn't run around the customer, it runs through them. The customer is interacting directly with each of these different businesses to help get on their way. And that makes it a very delicate balance, because if something were to go awry, say the customer chose a repair facility that cannot handle the proper repair the car needs, well, then they need to select a new repair facility, which means they need to schedule the drop-off. They need to reschedule the rental car. They need to potentially incur a second or third tow by this event to help get the car into its repair. They need to keep the insurance company informed as well, too. And all of that brings about cost to the entire value chain and friction to the customer. And frankly, I think we honestly can do better than that. And if you go just beyond the onset of the repair, look at what happens when the customer is within repair. They're relying on an accurate estimated completion date to pick the car back up and get back on the road. But that information is equally valuable to the rest of the industry as well. And getting it not just in the hands of the customer, but also into the rental car providers, to the insurance carriers, to handle invoicing appropriately is really valuable. And if it's done and it's inaccurate to one of those members, what happens then is the customer in the middle of this relationship has to make more phone calls, more friction to them. And every member of the industry then has to start calling each other, bringing about taking time away from our offerings and putting more burden back to the customer. Sounds a little chaotic. It does not sound like Harmony. So where does Harmony come into this presentation? Well, the good news is it's right here. If you look at this slide currently, let's imagine a world where all of our partners are actually connected better together in and around how the customer interacts with us. And what I mean by that is, let's just say that body shops and their scheduling and their data, their drop-off data, the repair status is connected seamlessly to rental car providers, which is connected seamlessly behind the scenes to towing providers, and also seamlessly connected to insurance carriers. So when this customer makes selections throughout the process, everyone is informed without the need to have to start to call each other and have the customer interact with every single business. Sounds kind of utopian, but the reality is this is in motion today. And what happens here is you have increased customer loyalty. You have every business in our value chain able to focus on what they do best in their business to serve the customer. And you've got reduced cost and reduced administrative burden upon all of us. So this is not a far off world for us. I can tell you that at Entegral, we're starting to see these things. We're actively working with parties across the company to help make some of these connections behind the scenes for customers and for businesses and for shops. But it's a mindset. It's a mindset for the industry. It's one that we have to not just look within our own business, but look around the entire industry and ask what we can do better for each other in the interest of the customer. And that's what I would like to impart on you as I walk off the stage here in a second, is we can drive towards the sunset here together. Go back and have the conversation with your partners today and look at the ways in which you interact with your customers and where your customers have to interact with the rest of the industry around you. And ask that question, how can we do better? How can we integrate our systems better behind the scenes? It's not that hard to do, we just need to talk about it. And how can we improve the overall experience for ourselves, drive longer customer loyalty, and preserve this industry for the future? So just food for thought. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you, Aaron, for the time.